Under the Volcano is a 1947 novel by the British writer Malcolm Lowry. Lowry was born in 1909. After a brief spell on a tramp steamer in 1927, during which he visited East Asia, he enrolled at Cambridge University, where he drank fairly heavily and gained a third-class honours degree. He was hospitalised for alcoholism in 1936. After a brief recovery, he went to Mexico but was deported. He then settled in Canada for a long time, but returned to Britain in 1954, where he died of alcohol and barbiturate poisoning in 1957 at the age of 47. Under the Volcano took him nearly a decade to write and was intended as the first part of a trilogy mirroring Dante's Divine Comedy. It was written in Canada, but based on Lowry's experiences in Mexico and partly on other episodes in his life, such as his time at sea. It's set in the 1930s, on the eve of World War II, and just as the Spanish Civil War is drawing to a close. The literal volcano of the title is Popocatépetl, which, as we learn in chapter 12, reminds the protagonist of Tartarus, the infernal region of the dead in ancient Greek mythology, since Tartarus was supposed to be under another volcano, Mount Etna. There are three main characters. The most important, Geoffrey Firmin, is an ex-British consul, a position to which he was appointed in semi-disgrace after men under his command murdered some high-ranking German prisoners of war during World War I. He's in an advanced stage of alcoholism for the entire novel, to the point where he suffers hallucinations and tremors. The second character is Yvonne, his ex-wife, who spent the last year in her home country, the USA, but who returns to Mexico to try to patch up her marriage. The third is Geoffrey's half-brother Hugh, an anti-Nazi with a plan to smuggle dynamite into Spain to aid the Republicans. Hugh and Yvonne may have had an affair, but that's never made explicit. The novel's written in the modernist style, and excluding the first of its 12 chapters, the action, such as it is, takes place over just 12 hours on the Mexican Day of the Dead. The writing's excellent, but very little happens, and there's a lot of stream of consciousness, so it won't be to everyone's taste. Because Geoffrey's writing a book on esotericism, and he explicitly sees his predicament in Faustian terms, and he's a connoisseur of mezcal, he became something of a countercultural hero in the 1960s. However, this isn't a countercultural book. It's nothing like, for example, Hunter S. Thompson's Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. It's unremittingly serious, and there's nothing heroic about Geoffrey, even in his own eyes. He's like most alcoholics, self-obsessed and a little boring. To my mind, this is actually an old-fashioned book about love and missed opportunities. It might even be about the hoary old notion of soulmates. There's a sense in which Geoffrey and Yvonne are meant to be together, but a series of missed opportunities, or the malevolence of fate if you prefer, has conspired to frustrate them. By the time the real action begins in chapter 2, it's already too late. We're in a Sophoclean-style tragedy. We're never told precisely why Geoffrey turned to drink, but it was probably those German prisoners of war. Lowry himself was haunted by a death of his homosexual roommate at Cambridge, whose advances he rejected and who took his own life. In any case, Geoffrey's guilt could probably have been managed without recourse to mezcal. Just before they separate, Yvonne makes an appointment to meet him, but he mixes up the locations, and despite his best efforts, he can't find her. After she leaves, he's desolate. She writes him lots of love letters which never arrive. He only finds out about them at the end. And she plans a saving future in Canada, which he realizes late on might have been ideal. She's given her own voice in chapters 9 and 11, and she's no spiritual mediocrity. In short, this novel's full of sliding doors. I'm not saying Malcolm Lowry would have agreed with me. At almost a decade in the writing, it's likely that this novel has several morals, but I'm pretty sure that love and loss is more central than anything the hippies saw in it. No disrespect to the hippies.